hooked up with my dad's best friend and now I'm pregnant. Should I tell my dad? I met my dad's best friend when I was 15 years old. Growing up, he would come to my house every now and then. A few years ago, my dad became a really big fan of the gym. Him and his best friend started going and they actually got really fit. Around this time, I turned 21 years old and I would start going out with my friends a lot. My dad would always make an effort to pick me up after I would go party with my friends. So anytime I went to a club or a bar, my dad would pretty much go pick me up without fail. But sometimes he couldn't and he would send his best friend instead. A little backstory on my dad's best friend. After he and my dad got in shape, he turned into a fitness model. Models for clothing brands and a lot of sports gear. He actually never got married himself. Instead, he dates a lot of women. And before you all go crazy, most of them are his age. I'm sure you're all wondering he's 39 years old. So like I said, my dad would sometimes send him to pick me up from clubs and stuff. The first time he went to pick me up, I actually didn't even recognize him. He had just finished going on a date and he looked amazing. When I got in his Tesla with him, I just couldn't stop staring at him. He asked me what was wrong and I said, "Wow, you look so handsome." Then he laughed and said, "Oh, I clean up well." After that, he picked me up a few more times. On the 5th night that he picked me up, I was totally wasted. When I got in his car, I was telling him that I really wanted to hook up with somebody. I grabbed his thigh and he told me that I needed to find somebody my own age. Part 2 is up. I hooked up with my dad's best friend and now I'm pregnant. Should I tell my dad? When I grabbed his thigh, he told me that I needed to look for somebody my own age. I started to laugh and asked why. That's when he said that he would never want to do anything to jeopardize his relationship with my dad and that I was way too young for him. I told him my dad had nothing to do with it and that we were both consenting adults. Then all he said was, "Nice try." Of course, I felt rejected, but I knew that he was attracted to me too. So I knew that all I had to do was wait. A few weeks later, my dad had a get together with some of his friends. And of course, his best friend was there too. And this time he looked so good. So I decided to make another move. While my dad was in the backyard with all his friends, I asked his best friend to come with me to the kitchen. As soon as we stepped into the kitchen, he grabbed my hand and told me that I needed to calm down. I told him there was nothing wrong with us liking each other. And then he kissed me. And oh my god, he's such a good kisser. But the kiss only lasted like 3 seconds. He went back outside and didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. I was hooked at that point. A few weeks later, I went out with some friends and told my dad that I needed him to pick me up. But of course, I knew my dad was on a business trip. So guess who he sends? His best friend. But when he came to pick me up, I decided to act like nothing had happened. When I got in the car, we didn't say a word to each other. He just started driving me home. Once we were a block away from my house, he parked his car. Suddenly, he starts kissing me and it was so amazing. And we ended up hooking up in his car that night. Part 3 is up. I hooked up with my dad's best friend and now I'm pregnant. Should I tell my dad? After the night we hooked up in his car, we didn't speak for about 2 weeks. But of course, I played it cool. I just pretended like I didn't care. My mom and dad's anniversary was a few days at this point, so my siblings and I decided to have a party for them. And of course, we invited my dad's best friend, Purr. I knew I had to look absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I wore a beautiful lavender silk dress, which fit like a glove. The festivities were amazing and my parents had a great time. And the entire night, my dad's best friend just kept staring at me. But like I said, I was playing hard to get. We had a live band and catering for the whole event, so everyone was out on the dance floor. Seeing as everyone was distracted, I decided to go to the kitchen because I knew that he would follow me. And he did. Once he came into the kitchen, he started kissing me. Then we went inside the pantry and hooked up again. Before we went back to the party, he told me he had really serious feelings for me. And I told him I did too. That's when he told me that we should be honest with my parents and tell them the truth, because he really wanted a relationship with me. A few days later, we told my parents while at dinner. My dad absolutely lost it. I managed to calm him down and we all talked. It's been a few weeks now and he's come to accept it a little more. But now I've missed my period. The test came out positive and I haven't told anybody. I'm so scared. What should